In October of 2008, judicial law clerk Gabriel Lerner was shot in the head in a remote area of brush in the west end of St. Thomas. Days after he was brutally murdered, police tracked down his killers, an adult male by the name of Ariel Frett and his juvenile accomplice, John Jared Southwell. It was a crime that sent shockwaves throughout our community, left a family in mourning, and landed both men behind bars. But it was John Southwell who made a deal with prosecutors in exchange for testifying in court against Frett, who's now serving a life sentence without parole. The 20-year-old Southwell could be out of jail before his 40th birthday. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Southwell inside the Bureau of Corrections Annex, where he's serving his sentence. He talked to me about his childhood, how he went astray, and the fateful day when he and Frett took the life of Gabriel Lerner.
Join Sarah Lazama for a special edition of Eye on the Islands, August 1st on the Access channels.
We're back with Mr. Dwayne Benjamin, Assistant Director of the VI Bureau of Corrections. Mr. Benjamin, we recently transferred a number of inmates from Golden Grove to facilities in the States.
Yes.
Tell me where these inmates went.
They were sent to facilities in Virginia, 3 different facilities in Virginia, and 1 medium security housing facility in Florida.
What was the reason for the transfer?
Several reasons. 1, it would reduce our numbers to provide better security and management of the population. And 2, these individuals have been individuals involved in various incidents at the facility and have been associated as a security risk. So the individuals that were sent were a direct result of that. We are taking a no-nonsense attitude. If you have adjustment issues, you can't abide with the rules and regulation of the facility, you're on a plane.
Now, this is not the first time that we have done a transfer like this.
No, it's not.
Okay. What are the numbers now at the prison?
We're about 100 less than what we were several weeks ago. So we're somewhere around on our sentence side, about a little over 200 inmates.
So does that make things more manageable at the facility?
Very manageable, because now what we can do, we can consolidate our housing units. We can utilize more staffing to provide better security. So it makes it much more manageable. You don't have as many housing units that would require the amount of staff that you need to provide the basic security. So on our end, it's a savings, and it's a saving to the officer as well, because now officers would have more downtime.
Now, when we do these transfers, they're usually a clandestine kind of operation based on, for security reasons.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times the family members, they don't know that this is going to occur, and then there's an uproar once they find out that their loved one has been moved to a stateside facility.
Yes.
What is your response to some of their complaints about that?
Well, I mean, the agency, we're not turning a deaf ear to their concerns. Ultimately, with the treatment model that we have, we'd like to maintain family connectedness, family relationships, you know, with loved ones and siblings as well, or dependent children. It is not a nice feeling that someone have to be airlifted to a facility because of, you know, security issues. But nonetheless, we are still mandated to provide the same basic services that they had while they were housed in the territory. So the treatment, they will receive medical treatment. They'll be entitled to visits as well. It might be video visits, so if they want to travel to that facility, they can do that. They'll be entitled to work release, work programs within the facility, work details, and educational programs as well, or any other program that the facility have to offer. What we do in terms of trying to identify a suitable facility is to find that perfect match. What would be best for that particular inmate, and each inmate is adjusted on a case-by-case basis or assessed on a case-by-case basis, and we try to match them up that they would get the necessary services that they need based on the classification level.
So does the Bureau now continue to monitor these inmates?
Every 30 days.
Okay.
Every 30 days we receive a report as to the adjustment, how they're performing, what type of activities they're involved in, and we have that report every 30 days.
Now, you mentioned some of these educational or vocational activities in stateside facilities. What type of activities do we have here in the Virgin Islands for the inmates who remain?
Well, we have the same types of services. We have an upholstery shop, we have a mechanic shop, an auto body shop, we have a carpentry shop that is doing exceptionally well, and we have a complete maintenance crew. So not only do we provide services within the facility, we provide general community services as well. Normally what you would like to service more inmates, but unfortunately due to the size of the facility and the program, we can only accommodate about so much. And normally when you have offenders in those programs, they abide by all the rules and conditions. So it's a large request to get involved into some of those programs. But fortunately for us, there will be some other types of programs that will be initiated very soon that offenders will have an opportunity to participate in.
We have acknowledged some of the issues at the prison, and we've talked about the significant strides that the Bureau has made to handle some of those issues. Obviously, the federal government has a different opinion than you do. Tell me where you think the disconnect is, why they would move for a federal takeover of the prison.
Well, I think what the impetus of their move has been was because of the length of time the litigation has been ongoing. 25 years is a long time. And so too is the federal government, under considerable pressure to get rid of this case or do something. And the same as a judge. I would not like to be in either of their position as well. With the considerable pressures and situations and issues that we're dealing with today. You can't fault them, but they too have a job to do. What we are requesting is that they meet us halfway. Be understanding, look at the unique challenges that we face here, even more so today than it has ever been before. We are saying, well, join us, bring your resources, bring your money, bring your experts. Because it's not going to happen by us talking about it. We know what the problems are. How can we work together to improve the conditions, and what is it that you bring to the table other than an assessment and a report outlining the deficiencies that exist? So if the fix or the final fix would be a new prison, well, can you give us $100 million to do that? That we could provide a state-of-the-art facility, provide all of the ancillary services that we are mandated to provide a design that would not be so staff intensive, and then we can talk. And those are the challenges that we're dealing with. So we have spent millions and millions of dollars in programs, services, medical costs, and we are mandated by law to do that. However, there is no tree that we can continue to pick money off of to fix some of the challenges that we face with. So if they are as serious as they say they are, we are asking them, join us in this path together.
What would you say to some people who say the Virgin Islands is not equipped to handle the prison? Let the feds go ahead and take it over. Why are we fighting this move?
That has been the talk, and it really bothers me sometimes to have those types of discussion, because what our community need to understand that there are greater implications for receivership. Receivership does not mean that the Fed come in and they run or do something that you are incapable of doing. It could possibly mean that the territory now will be faced with more serious financial burdens to bring about some of the quicker fixes or bigger fixes that we're not currently able to provide. What we have been focusing on are those priority areas, and I think we've addressed that considerably. So receivership has some serious implications. Aside from the staffing issues, the territory is going to be billed. It's not for free. They don't come in and provide these services. We're going to be billed for everything that they bill us for. And ultimately, it doesn't look good. We have competent, capable staff here that have been doing this job a long time. It's going to take a little more longer for us to bring about the kind of changes that we need. And all we're asking for is an extension. Let us continue to keep the momentum going, improve the conditions which we have been improving, and I think we'll both agree that we've come to that point where we can vacate the entire litigation.
So if the federal government does come in, does that mean that our people would then lose their jobs?
Well, that'll be up to the receiver to determine. I can tell you this, they will evaluate every component of our operation, and they will make that determination. The possibility could exist. I know in the language for receivership that is included. So either which way, wherever it goes, the implications are going to be great economically for the territory.
So what's the next step? How do we fight this motion?
Well, we will file our motion in opposition to it. We'll continue doing the job that we're doing. We're going to keep up the momentum, and there'll have to come a point in time that both parties go before the judge, and the facts of the case will determine whether or not that's a motion that will be granted by the court. I know that we have made considerable improvement at our facilities, and we will continue to do that. The governor has given us all of the resources necessary to do this job, and we will continue to do it based on the funds available.
There is a federal monitor in place. And tell me a little bit about how that works.
Well, the special master is an officer of the court appointed by the judge to ensure that all of the elements of the consent decree are adequately being worked on. And ultimately, she's an independent monitor, and she reports the facts based on her tour, inspection, and interviews every quarter. And that report goes to the court. We have status conference and status hearing to determine what is being reported, and we respond to that. It's something that is going to require a little more time to do. The person have to have extensive correctional experience and background so that the report is fair. And that's what the special master is. Now the receivership is when the takeover takes place and the special master is no longer independent, that they will bring in a team of professionals or contractor to do what we're currently doing.
So the special master has been reporting to US DOJ for some time now.
Well, not to US DOJ, to the court. US DOJ is the plaintiff in this case. The government of the Virgin Islands are the defendants, and both parties meet with her on a regular basis to discuss conditions, and we have regular meetings to discuss where we are on a number of items.
So is this motion based on what is in that report?
Partly could be based on what's in the report, and secondly, it could be as a result of, the time has come that this thing has to happen. Okay, I know the pressures that have been exerted on both sides to, make the improvements. 25 years for litigation, I think this is one of the longest running cases in the history of the United States. But again, we will continue to do what we normally would do and make the improvements as they become available.
Was the Bureau surprised at all by the motion?
Yes, we were, particularly at that particular time. We had just completed a conference call the day before. There was no indication that the motion was coming. It was a very pleasant and cordial teleconference. We discussed all of the elements relating to the consent, and the motion came. I'm not quite sure whether or not that was due to timing on their part, but the threat has always been there for receivership for years. So it's nothing new. Unfortunately, it just has been filed most recently.
So what's the next step for the Bureau? Do you keep on keeping on, or do you start doing things differently?
Well, I mean, we've been doing a lot of things differently. What we do, we'll continue doing a job that we can do. We're going to continue working on those priority items. We're going to try to improve on our security. We're going to continue to provide the medical services to all of the offenders housed in the facilities and the programs as well. So we'll just continue doing our job. I think the judge will have to make that determination, see what the US DOJ will be bringing to the table, and the facts will be, discussed in court.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing the outcome.
We will be.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me here this morning.
And that's it for this edition of Eye on the Islands.